If you've ever found yourself shrinking around someone, if you've stopped sharing your good news, stopped speaking up, or stopped being fully yourself without understanding why, then listen closely, because these changes usually don't happen randomly. They happen slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, shaped by someone who benefits from your silence. Most people think abuse is loud, shouting, slamming doors, chaos, but the most dangerous kind rarely raises its voice. Instead, it whispers, distorts, and rearranges your sense of reality until you start questioning your own thoughts before you ever question theirs. And by the time you notice, you're already living a life that doesn't feel like yours anymore. So today, we're going to look at 7 everyday behaviors that seem harmless but are actually signs of psychological abuse. And I promise you this: once you recognize these patterns, you cannot unsee them, and that awareness becomes the first step back to yourself. The first behavior is when someone makes you doubt your memory. It starts small. You recall something clearly, maybe a conversation, a promise, a simple plan. But when you mention it, they look confused and say, "I never said that," or "You're imagining things." And at first you think it must be a misunderstanding, but then it happens again and again until your mind starts bending to fit their version of events. And psychologists call this memory displacement, a method that teaches you to trust their reality more than your own, not because you're weak, but because your nervous system is trying to protect you by surrendering to the version of truth that avoids conflict. And once they train you to question your memory, they can train you to question anything. The second behavior is more subtle. Your success makes them uncomfortable. You walk in excited to share good news, a promotion, an achievement, a personal win, and instead of celebrating with you, the air shifts, their smile tightens, their tone cools, and they drop a small comment that steals your joy. Something like, "Don't get too confident," or "Are you sure you can handle the pressure?" And that's because healthy people celebrate your growth, while insecure or controlling people feel threatened by it. So they try to emotionally level you by pulling you back down to maintain the balance of the relationship on their terms. And over time, you start sharing less, achieving less, and shrinking more just to make the relationship feel peaceful. The third sign is when they act like two completely different people depending on who's watching. In public, they're warm, charming, considerate. Everyone praises them, calls them amazing, tells you you're lucky. But behind closed doors, the mask falls. The warmth vanishes, the sharpness returns, and you're left walking on emotional eggshells again. And the worst part is that their public kindness becomes evidence against your private pain, making you wonder if the problem is you, when in reality, this is strategic image management used by people who rely on external validation and create a perfect public persona, so no one will ever believe who they truly are in private, trapping you inside a reality no one else sees. The fourth behavior shows up when they make you responsible for their emotions. Suddenly you're carrying storms that aren't yours, adjusting how you speak, how you move, how you act just to keep them calm. And when they're angry or upset about something unrelated to you, somehow you still end up walking carefully, as if their emotional weather is your fault. And when they say things like, "You're making me angry," or "If you cared, you'd know what I need," understand that this is emotional enmeshment, not vulnerability. Healthy adults manage their own emotions, but manipulators train you to regulate their feelings instead of your own. And once they own your emotional responses, they own your boundaries too. The fifth behavior is when kindness becomes a weapon. At first, they offer help, do favors, buy gifts, and it feels thoughtful until the bill arrives in the form of guilt. "After everything I've done for you, you owe me. I was there for you. Remember that." And suddenly you realize their kindness wasn't kindness, but a setup, a form of covert coercion designed to create emotional debt so they can control your decisions later. And the more favors they give, the heavier your guilt becomes, trapping you in a cage built from obligation rather than love. The sixth behavior is slow, quiet isolation. It begins with small comments like, "Your friend isn't good for you," or "Your family doesn't truly understand you," or "Your coworkers don't appreciate you." And it sounds like concern, not manipulation. But over time, you start pulling away from others, canceling plans, replying less, staying home more, until your world becomes small and centered around the person who benefits from your isolation. And psychologists call this support erosion, because once they remove your external support system, you become easier to confuse, easier to control, and much harder to leave. And by the time you notice, your connection to others has already faded. The seventh behavior is when apologies become weapons. You finally gather the courage to express your feelings, hoping for understanding, and they respond with a soft, sorry, but then twist it into, sorry, but you're too sensitive. Or sorry if you feel that way. Or, I apologized, what more do you want? And this is performative remorse, an apology designed not to repair the damage but to flip the script and make you feel guilty for bringing it up. And after enough of these fake apologies, you stop confronting them, you swallow your emotions, and silence becomes your survival strategy. And if any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not imagining things. You're not dramatic, and you're not overreacting. Psychological abuse rarely shows up as physical bruises. It shows up as confusion, self-doubt, shrinking, apologizing too much, feeling responsible for everyone else's emotional temperature, losing your spark piece by piece without noticing it. Gaslighting, covert coercion, emotional leveling, isolation, enmeshment, weaponized kindness, performative apologies. These are invisible wounds that cut deeply. And the fact that you recognized even one of these signs means some part of you is waking up, reclaiming its truth, and saying, I deserve better than this. Awareness is your turning point. Once you see the pattern, you can break the pattern. And once you start choosing yourself again, the entire story begins to shift. And if this message made something click inside you, even just a little, then know this. Someone else out there is still blaming themselves for things they never caused, still blaming themselves for pain they never deserved. And your voice, your comment, your experience, your truth might be the thing that helps them feel less alone. So if you feel called, share this video, drop the number of the sign that hit you the hardest. And if you want more insights that help you understand your mind, your patterns, and your healing journey, subscribe to the Knownsense, because we are building a space where people finally feel seen, heard, and understood. Take care of yourself, protect your peace, protect your boundaries, and never forget this truth. You deserve relationships that make you feel more like yourself, not less.